Hello students, today I am taking up the detailed summary of chapter number 2 of 11th standard that we are going to be together. This chapter signifies that if people can gather all together, they can face any kind of danger. A 37 years old businessman and his family had dreamt of sailing in the wake of the famous exploration Captain James Cook sailing. And in July 1976, the narrator, 37 years of businessman, his wife Mary, son Jonathan, 6 years, daughter Suzanne, 7 years, sailed that aside from Plymouth started England to duplicate the round the world voyage earlier made by Captain James Cook. They started in 23 meter and 30 tons wooden hulled boat named Wave Walker. The first part of their planned 3-year journey, that 1,05,000 km, passed pleasantly from west coast of Africa to Cape Town. They took on two crewmen, American Larry Weisel and Swiss Herb Sigler, to tackle the roughest seas in the southern Indian Ocean. On their second day out of Cape Town, they faced strong gales and other waves rose up to 15 meters high. On December 25, they were 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town, though the wave walker was very bad. They celebrated Christmas and New Year's Day. At dawn, early morning on January 2, waves were huge. As the ship rose to the top of each wave, they could see endless vast sea rolling towards them. They dropped the storm jib to slow down the boat down. They were sailing at 8 knots and went through their life raft drill, put on oilskins and life jackets, and waited for the danger at sea. The first sign of the coming disaster came at 6 p.m. The wind dropped and the sky got dark. A huge and a growing roar wave like cloud came running after the ship with a thunder. That next. A torrent of seawater broke over the ship. The narrator's head smashed on to the wheel. He accepted the approaching death and started losing consciousness. The narrator's head rose out of water. He saw wave walker capsizing, then a huge wave turned her upright. He caught the ground, that guardrail, a wave tossed like a doll, and his left rib cracked and his mouth filled with blood and broken teeth. That suddenly the front hatch was thrown open and Mary appeared. She cried that they were drowning now. Larry and Have were pumping the water out the madmen like madmen, and the broken that things lay scattered here and there. The narrator swam to the children's cabin for asking their welfare. They said they were now, though she had a bump above her eyes. The narrator took a hammer, a screw, and canvas to put over the gaping holes. Some water came in. The electric pump had stopped working. Then he began to work with another hand pump and connected it to an out pipe to pump out the water throughout night. They were not getting the meals, and they did not give any help from as the mayday calls. On January 3, the water level had come under control. The boat main ribs had nearly broken down. They had survived for 15 hours since the waves hit. The narrator checked the charts and found that there were two small islands a few hundred kilometers to the east. He hoped to reach Isle Amsterdam, a French scientific base. Next. On January 4, after 36 hours of continuous pumping, they had drained out the water. They ate their first meal in almost 2 days with corned beef and cracker biscuits. Their respite was short lived. At 4 p.m., black clouds building up behind the ship. The wind was back to 40 knots, and knots is the measurement of the distance at the sea, and the sea were getting higher. The weather became to fall bad throughout the night, and by dawn early morning on January 5, their situation was again dangerous. The narrator went in to comfort the children. John asked if they were going to die. He assured them that they would make out. But Jonathan added that they were not afraid of dying if they could be all together. Walker wrote out of the storm by moving on January 6. He found that though a reading on the sextant, they were somewhere looking for a 65-kilometer wide island. Sue came to her father with a invitation card. She made it caricatures of the narrator and made him laugh. She had a written message inside it. It was written that how I love you both, mother and father. He checked and rechecked the calculations at about 2 p.m. He went on the deck and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. He expected to see the island at about 5 p.m. The narrator woke up at 6 p.m. Jonathan came and asked if he could have a hug to his father. He asked the reason, means Captain asked the reason, and Jonathan added that he was the best daddy and the best captain in the whole world. The island was in front of them. He rushed on the deck to look the most beautiful island. All the 28 inhabitants cheered them as they landed on the shore. He thought of Larry and Habry, Mary and Sue with a head injury she had, and uh, Jonathan also, who was not afraid to die. To be continued next.